Good morning. I am about 3.5, 4 weeks almost out of surgery, and I thought this would be a good time to talk about how I found my breast cancer, since I have not done a video on that yet. It was back in October. I was just doing a self breast exam one day when I was watching TV at home, and I felt like a little tiny, what felt like a pebble in the top of my right breast. I had never felt anything like that before, so of course, what does a girl do? She talks to her girlfriends, gets some advice, and I thought maybe it was because I was on my period. So I'm like, I'll just wait till next month to see if it's still there. So I went home for vacation in the end of October, and then in November I still felt the lump, and again it just felt like I'd picked up a little pebble off the street and just stuck it right underneath in my skin. That's how it felt for me. So I started calling around and making an appointment to get an ultrasound, because I knew that was the next thing I would need to do in order for them to maybe find it. So I called my regular doctor and had her put in an order for me to get an ultrasound at a place close to my house. And I finally got an appointment because it takes forever out in California. And it was towards Christmas. And I remember going in for the appointment, and they did the ultrasound, and then they were like, oh, well, we need to look at your lymph nodes too, which I hadn't even thought about my lymph nodes, honestly. I was just concentrating on the little pebble that I felt. I remember the technician that was looking at my lymph nodes went and got the doctor to come in to look at them, and then I remember the doctor making a comment like, oh, that's really large. So of course you're like, oh no. So then I instantly start crying. So they said that they needed to do a biopsy, and obviously a gazillion emotions go through your mind. We scheduled a biopsy, and the results came a couple of days after Christmas. And I remember being at work, and I was getting ready to leave pretty soon, and my regular doctor called me to tell me that indeed I did have cancer in the breast and in the lymph node. As you can imagine, my mind was just racing. I couldn't think about work. I just left immediately. And on my way home, I was just crying and crying and crying. And I cried for about the next week or so as I told loved ones and my family members the news that I had just found out. So that is how I discovered my breast cancer, and that I had cancer in my lymph nodes.